Reese Wilkerson spent 7 seasons being the dumbest person in any room he walked into. And every time I thought to myself, he can't be that stupid, Reese always proved me wrong.
How could you be so stupid?
So today I'm going deep to see what's actually going on in his head to answer the question of how stupid was Reese actually? So I'm starting off with the episode where Reese's girlfriend Beth breaks up with him for Malcolm, which is awful, no doubt. Imagine your own brother taking your girl, and like most people would process a breakup by being miserable for a while and move on. However, Reese processes it by forging his age, walking into the military recruitment office, and enlists in the US Army without telling anyone. The actually strange part is that the Army works for him, but only because his training officer figures out that Reese performs best when he stops thinking completely.
I want you to explain to these recruits how the worst soldier in the unit has managed to put them all to shame.
I just stopped thinking.
He is praised as one of the most brilliant soldiers in his platoon after learning to surrender his will entirely to his superiors, which means the one period in Reese's life when he is genuinely excellent at something, the key to unlocking it was removing his own brain from the process. Then they send him to Afghanistan and dude runs away because he was too scared to fight. And if that wasn't enough, he ends up accidentally married to an Afghan man while hiding in a burqa, disguised as a woman. I mean, it's crazy that I even said this sentence out loud. When the man discovers Reese is male, Reese says that the dude didn't even mind it. Plus, Reese has never officially divorced him, and right before he was found by Lois, he insulted the people's god by saying that it was a monkey man. Honestly, this is such a crazy story, and I love these episodes so much. Lois eventually shows up in Afghanistan and physically drags him back home. The army does not argue with her, partly because Reese was underage the whole time. And like, this whole thing could be the dumbest thing someone has ever done, but for Reese, this is only the beginning of the list. After Afghanistan, the show gives Reese something almost sweet. His grandmother Ida runs a game with a group of Eastern European women, and Reese ends up winning an attractive immigrant named Raduca. She needs to stay in the United States, so the marriage is the arrangement, and Reese actually develops real feelings for her. This is one of the few storylines in the entire series where Reese is allowed to care about something without filtering it through violence or sabotage. The marriage requires an official immigration interview, and Reese has to demonstrate to the government that he actually knows his wife well enough for the union to be credible. What he writes on the official immigration form, in the section asking him to describe Raduca, is that she has a tail.
You said Raduca had a tail?
Might have a tail. I don't know what the hell is going on back there. I was nervous.
Bro was dead serious about that. He submits a legal document to the United States federal government stating that his wife might have a physical tail growing from her body. The marriage collapses eventually. Reese literally finds Raduca in the garage apartment with a man named Bela, who she insists is her brother, but come on, it's obvious what's going on. Crazy part is that Reese is so gullible that he believed her and literally hugged the guy his wife is sleeping with. She was using him for the green card from the start, and the entire time she has been manipulating him while he had no idea. You could blame this one on him being in love so he wasn't thinking straight, but I'm not so sure. However, the next thing definitely confirms that he was not thinking at all. In the episode called Experiment, Stevie and Malcolm are doing some kind of a science project in their room. When Reese sees this, he offers to help, but Malcolm shuts him down. Reese says that he might have something useful to contribute, and the guys use him to take his blood. The guy is literally smiling ear to ear and saying that it feels so good he might faint, while they take so much blood out to test enzymes for a medical experiment. It's a funny scene because he literally doesn't understand what's going on. But the thing is, this isn't the funniest part at all. Later that day, he comes back excited like he discovered fire, and he tells the guys that he invented a new color.
Guys, I've made a discovery. When you mix blue and yellow, you get an entirely new color. I'm gonna name it Blello.
Dude forgot that green exists. The worst part is this Blello color of his actually turns out that Reese managed to do what Malcolm and Stevie were trying to do the whole time, which is separate two bases for an enzyme. So when they ask him to tell them how he did it, he refuses until he gets in writing that he is as smart as they are. The thing is, the way he managed to do this is not explainable by words. You can just see his steps on the screen right now. And when he starts hitting this ball on the ceiling, freaking asbestos starts falling, and that was the secret ingredient. I don't know, man. This whole episode is so stupid, but it's funny that Reese does things without thinking and somehow gets the right answer. But the next thing was so dangerous that I wish he used his brain for once. Reese's relationship with food is the one area where his brain operates at a level that surprises everyone around him, which makes this particular moment so hard to watch. When he enters a culinary contest, he is clearly the best competitor there. His dish is ahead of everyone else's in the room, the judges are paying attention, and he is about to win something legit for the first time in his life. And then he walks around and sabotages every single other contestant's dish before the judging wraps up, purely out of competitive instinct and genuine joy at watching other people fail. He throws away a legitimate win to destroy other people's chances. And it's funny, sure, but it is also the most accurate summary of how Reese's impulses work. He deadass poisoned people just to win. His parents' most effective punishment throughout the whole show is banning him from the kitchen. And that is the one consequence that actually hurts him. I think it's because being cut off from cooking is the only thing that feels as a real loss to him. He later gets a job at a meatpacking facility, which is the closest professional connection to food he manages in the series, and loses it after setting all the cows free to impress a girl. Even the thing he is genuinely good at, he manages to sabotage from every angle he can find. So let's talk about how his mind actually works. The show gives us enough specific breadcrumbs about Reese's psychology over 7 seasons, so we can figure out how his brain works. He is described as having ADD, which makes sense with the impulsive decision-making, the complete inability to engage with anything school-related, and the way his actions consistently skip the step where most people pause to consider consequences. He also hears voices.
Yes! It's telling me to do all these crazy things!
Let me give you a little advice. You've got to ignore the voices. They are not on your side.
So Reese advises him to ignore them and never mention them to teachers. He also admits that the bullying and violence are coping mechanisms for him, that he hurts people because he feels laughed at, and hitting first means he controls who is doing the laughing. Outside of all that, he calls Cloud Sky Kitten.
You like clouds? Yeah, I like clouds. I call them sky kittens.
I'm sorry, I just had to throw that in there. He has a wishing hole, which is a tree stump he visits to make wishes and talk to. I mean, the show built a full inner emotional life for Reese and then gave him 0 tools to express any of it in a way other people could receive. So let's talk about how he performs in school. Reese's academic record is consistent. He fails everything, across every subject, across every year. But there is an episode where he gets kicked out of the house, and with nothing else going on and no brothers to bother, he studies properly for the first time and becomes the most improved student his teacher has ever seen. The capability existed the whole time. There was just nothing in his normal environment that gave him a reason to access it. The most technically impressive academic moment of his life is actually a failure. In season 6, he deliberately answers every question on every single final exam wrong and scores a perfect 0. This means that a perfect 0 is just as statistically difficult as a perfect 100 because it requires knowing the correct answer well enough to reliably pick the wrong one every time, which means Reese understood the material while choosing to fail it completely. He did this to repeat senior year and delay graduation. In his life outside of school, his situational judgment is almost always catastrophic. The driving lesson ends with him kidnapping a teenage girl, leading police on a car chase through town, somehow passing his driving test during the pursuit, and then getting arrested the moment he steps out of the vehicle. There are so many of these moments that show us how, despite him being so stupid and doing dumb things, he still gets the right result. The one girl Reese truly loved was Beth, and she cheated on him with Malcolm. That relationship defines everything after it, including why he ran straight into the army and every bad decision that followed. Before Beth, there was Allison, who the show describes as equally as dumb as Reese. After Reduca, there are at least 2 more marriages implied by the reboot, because it was said that he had a string of failed marriages. His pattern with women across the whole series is consistent. He has no idea how to project emotions in a healthy way, so he either goes silent, gets aggressive, or performs niceness as a transaction until someone uses him. The prom episode is the clearest version of this, where a girl named Jeannie pays Reese $200 to take her because she needs a date and knows he will not have one. With his brothers, it is more honest. He tortures them constantly, but he also beats up anyone at school who calls Malcolm a freak or saves both Malcolm and Dewey from a tiger cage by throwing a live goat at the tigers. The violence and the love are running at the same time, so let's talk about where he ended up as an adult. The 2026 reboot gives us a clear picture where each brother ended up later in life. And for Reese, it wasn't such a happy ending. He is 37 years old and still working as a janitor at his old high school. For his side hustles, he films Hal getting hurt around the house and monetizes the videos online without his knowledge. Sells underwear to creeps and still bickers and plays pranks on his family. He has a sealed court record from something that happened between graduation and the reboot. And when his youngest sibling Kelly threatens to use it against him, Reese tells them the court sealed the report and they will never know. He has been imprisoned at some point. He has been married at least twice more since Reduca. Lois predicted this specific outcome years before the reboot, and she was right about every detail. But there is one moment in the final episode of the reboot where Reese walks up to Hal at the anniversary party and apologizes to him for the videos. Genuinely. It is the only scene in the revival where Reese drops the performance entirely. Unfortunately, he did end up as a failure and didn't become a cook or anything else really. And out of all of the brothers, he had the saddest fate, but come on, didn't we all expect that? So that's it. I guess we can say Reese is pretty dumb and stupid and didn't make anything out of his life. But who doesn't love him? Because he is more layered the longer you spend screen time with him. The show gave him ADD, a hidden emotional life, a culinary gift he kept finding ways to destroy, psychiatric symptoms nobody in the family ever addressed, and a future his own parents called in advance with complete accuracy, and he walked into all of it with his arms open. That's going to be it, folks. If you like this analysis, make sure to subscribe and leave a comment down below on what kind of video I should do next. I'll see you guys later.